Welcome to this Bridgewater Now update. I'm John Luck. 4 off-campus parties are being investigated by Bridgewater State University that took place over Labor Day weekend. This was first reported by the Brockton Enterprise, who obtained an email that said the parties took place on Hale, Broad, and Plymouth Streets. University spokesperson Ava Gaffney said that nobody was wearing masks at the time and physical distancing guidelines were not being used. There has been administrative action taken against 3 residential students, including suspension. Denise Rocco, who is BSU's Associate Vice President and Dean of Students, wrote a strongly worded letter that reads in part, "Each of you who hosted or attended a large indoor gathering made the choice to risk jeopardizing our entire campus and local community." And the Enterprise adds that there is a 0.22% positivity rate with 5 positive COVID tests and just under 2,300 tests being conducted at BSU. At the last council meeting, Town Manager Michael Dutton said that the police department and health agent have been working with the university about expectations, and the town remains in communication about potential discipline of those students. The town is seeking a District 5 town councilor. During the last town election back on June 27th, it appeared Peter Columbotus had won the seat. However, Columbotus, who maxed out his service time earlier this year, was ineligible to remain as councilor. There were 4 write-in votes, but according to the town council attorney, none of them could be named as a councilor, as they would need 30% of the votes, but all the write-ins actually had 20%. During the councilor comments at the end of the September 8th meeting, Councilor Bill Wood had some concern that there was an effort to find someone to replace Columbotus when nobody stepped up to challenge him.
But I think we're at a low point on our election cycles here. It's not like the election was a surprise. The election cycle was 6 months long almost. I was being bashed on Facebook every opportunity. So the fact that we were going to have an election should not have surprised anyone. Yet during the nomination season, no one took out papers for 5. During the write-in process, no one made an attempt to do a write-in. Somebody could have stepped up, and I'm not criticizing them. What I'm saying is that maybe everybody was comfortable with Pete being their representative for District 5 in their neighborhood. And so it troubles me that we're going to this huge effort to replace a guy that no one wanted to replace, and no one has complained that needs to be replaced.
Wood added that there needs to be an effort to notify people of elections and opportunities to help out their community. Again, the town is looking for interested candidates who live in Precinct 5 to be appointed as the councilor. If you're interested in applying, you must live in Precinct 5 and send a letter of interest by no later than September 28th to the council clerk. The hope is to have someone in front of the council to fill a vacancy in early October. Students are preparing to return to the classroom in some fashion this week. The BR School District will begin the school year using a hybrid model, with most students in the classroom 2 days a week and learning remotely the rest of the time. At the last school committee meeting, the results from the last survey sent to parents were announced regarding all virtual learning, transportation, and Chromebook needs. Out of the just over 4,400 surveys returned, 64% were from Bridgewater and 36% from Rainham. Just under 84% of the survey takers wanted their child in hybrid learning, with the rest wanting all remote learning. As of September 9th, that would be 763 students learning remotely to start the school year. On the transportation front, just under half of those surveyed said their child would be taking advantage of transportation to school, 31% said they would opt out, and 20% said they weren't eligible for transportation. 1,300 Chromebooks have been requested by parents and guardians. The district already has 1,200, with another 100 on order. The district says there will be a request list made for any others who may need a Chromebook for their child to learn virtually. Teachers and staff have been in professional development, which includes a safe return to school plan geared toward using social distancing and masks in the classroom. The assistant superintendent of the district, Ryan Powers, said this will be a school year that may see changes on the fly and asked for patience and flexibility.
So, we are confident, but we also have the understanding that we may need to make changes as things come up. And, we'll certainly continue to gather feedback from our stakeholders, whether it be our students, our staff, our family, just in terms of how our hybrid model is working, or how our remote model is working for our students that have, chosen that model as their primary educational experience for the fall. And so we're eager to get going. We really are, as much as we, are a little anxious because we're not 100% sure how this is going to work. We are eager. We want to get kids back in the building. That's what we're all about at the end of the day.
Also during the meeting, BR Athletic Director Dan Bjorn talked to the school committee about what athletics may look like in the fall. You may remember that fall sports deemed high risk of transmitting COVID-19 have been pushed to a floating schedule in February. Other sports, including boys and girls cross country and boys and girls soccer, along with golf, field hockey, and volleyball, are expected to take place in the fall. BR is planning to start practicing in those sports coming up on September 21st. BR also added that there would be different districts to help cut down on long travel. BR is in District 8 and will be competing with Brockton, Dartmouth, Durfee, New Bedford, and West Bridgewater, who had their league push all sports to that floating schedule we talked about earlier. We should expect to see a 10-game schedule with perhaps one non-league opponent, and the teams would compete in a district playoff instead of the state championship. Other items of note from the presentation include teams having only 90 minutes to practice, games taking place on Monday through Friday. All BR teams playing in the fall sports schedule besides volleyball will play their games on the turf field with no fans being admitted inside the fences at the high school. There is hope that some family members will be allowed inside the field for senior night. The AD also added that all head coaches at the high school will need to take a COVID-19 course. Also, student athletes won't use the locker rooms in the high school, instead coming to games and leaving fully prepared. We should start to learn some recommendations from the MIAA about winter sports sometime next month. You can watch the school committee meeting in full on our website, btvaccess.com. Last week, we showed you part 1 of Mary Evers' interview with author Rick Ponce, who wrote 103 Pilgrims. A book that took 12 years to write and publish has a blend of historical fiction and modern events. Right now we have part 2 as Mary and Rick discuss a series of books involving 103 Pilgrims and being able to reach out to people that perhaps didn't know about the local history that's featured in this book.
It was promoted to me that this was going to be a series of books. So I assume that your sequel is it a different mystery completely, or is it going to be a continuation of what they're talking about in the first book?
Well, the book continues on with the next time. So it takes place about a year after the 103 Pilgrims took place. And it's called Blood on the Rock. And it takes place in Plymouth again, around the streets and the alleys and the back roads of Plymouth and Cape Cod area.
Obviously, Massachusetts has a very rich history, especially when it comes to the founding of this country and the Pilgrims being some of the first group of people over here. Being from around the area, that history must be something that you were it was ingrained in you for a very long time. So it must be very important to you, as it is to a lot of people in Massachusetts. So I think that you doing this book is going to interest a lot of people, because not only is it a mystery and going to be a lot of things that may not have been discussed about this history before, but it's also fun to read about something that happens in your hometown. So that must have been great for you to write about that.
Actually, I had an awful lot of fun not only writing it, but during the research.
Right.
I found that the history that was written 100 years ago is different today than it was 100 years ago, because they discovered new things.
Right.
They discovered new articles and a background on different people. So I found that the most interesting part is how rich the culture is and the history is of that area, and how it can kind of blend into it today, but still affects today's life.
So for those of our viewers that are interested in reading your book, where can they find it to purchase?
They can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle. The audio version will be out in about 2 weeks.
Awesome.
On Audible, so you can find it on Audible. I found a great actress to do the Audible part of the book, and it really turned out quite well. So
that's great. Well, thank you, Mr. Pons, for your time, and hopefully that our viewers will go and read this book. I'm very interested in reading it myself, and we'll be starting it as soon as it arrives, because I did order it on Amazon.
It should be there soon.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
If you'd like more information on Rick's book, 103 Pilgrims, or to buy the book, visit 103pilgrims.com. Turning to your health, as we continue to deal with the coronavirus pandemic, flu season is just around the corner. As we know, the flu can kill thousands of people each year, but the good news is there is a vaccine to help prevent it. Doctors say that it's more important now than ever to get a flu shot.
We anticipate that there will be some people coming up who have both COVID and influenza at the same time, which would be very devastating, obviously, and increase the risk of death from one or both of them. So anything we can do to prevent influenza and to prevent COVID, of course, we want to do.
There is concern from experts that if the flu and COVID-19 surge at the same time, the country's healthcare system could be overwhelmed. A simultaneous surge could also strain the availability of personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. Obviously, right now, we don't have a vaccine for COVID, but there is one for the flu, and getting vaccinated is the best way to protect yourself from the flu. There may be concern about going to a doctor's office during the pandemic, but there are precautions being made to create a safe environment.
Some people are concerned about going to a pharmacy or a doctor's office to get influenza vaccine. And I want to reassure them that all of the healthcare facilities are taking extra precautions to make the environment safe for people who come in.
And all the precautions we're making for COVID, including wearing masks, social distancing, and hand washing, are also good tools for trying to prevent the flu. Finally, today we end with a viral video. As students get set for remote learning, a Wisconsin teacher had a simple message with help from a popular 90s TV show.
Even though we're starting virtual, we can still have a great year, 'cause I'll be here for you when you're learning at home.
Paul Miller is an English teacher in Appleton, Wisconsin, and if you couldn't tell, made a back-to-school song to the theme from Friends. The song is about virtual learning and how he, along with the school, will always be there for the kids. Mr. Miller usually plays a back-to-school song in the classroom on his ukulele. A couple of years ago, he made a back-to-school cover of Imagine Dragons' It's Time. The teacher said it took a day to write the lyrics and another 2 days to record the song and film inside the school. The video has received nearly 5,000 reactions on Facebook and over 550 comments. On YouTube, his song has nearly 20,000 views. Thanks for watching this update. I'm John Lund.